Shalom Aleichem to everybody. It's been 2 weeks since we got together last time, and I hope everybody had a wonderful Shavuos, uplifting, inspiring, and let's hope it'll stay with us a whole year. The giving of the Torah, have enthusiasm. It should be like a new thing to us, not a thing that we get used to and don't have this proper enthusiasm. We should be enthusiastic about Torah every day. That would be a wonderful thing if we could do that. But we're going to talk about tonight, this week's portion of the Torah in Parshas Behaloischa. A very important lesson here for us to learn from what happened. What happened was that the Jews were in the desert. They were there for 40 years, and from almost the very beginning, the food that they had was the mun. They called manna in English, which came down every day except for Shabbos. And the people went out to collect it. It was bread from heaven. The bracha they made, not the mitzvah lechem and the Oorah that we say, they said mitzvah lechem and Hashemayim. They didn't bracha on it. Hashem gave them years between the going out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt, till the time they came to land of Israel. What happened over here was that
Rabbi Mintz got muted again.
Yes, I don't know what what's
muted over there. Can
you hear me?
Now we do.
Oh, just 1 minute. Now we hear the Rabbi.
Can you hear me?
Now we do.
Yes.
Now we do.
So they had with them, when they went out of Egypt, many people who became Jews, many of the Egyptians. They saw all the miracles that happened to Jewish people, and they got very inspired, and they decided to convert to Judaism. And they went out with the Jews out of Egypt, going together with them. But they were sometimes not easily accepted because they still had the background of Egyptians, a lot of ideas that it's not easy to get rid of. It takes time and a lot of learning and doing mitzvahs in order to feel like a Jew. Intellectually, they felt like Jewish, they wanted to be Jewish, but to feel totally takes time. And time to time, they made trouble for the Jews in the desert, those 40 years. And one of those times was now, in this week's Parsha, this week's portion, that they wanted to have food to eat that they were complaining about. They said, we wish we had meat to eat. And even though they really had basar, they had animals that they could have shechted and slaughtered and it could have eaten the meat of the animals. But the Ramban said that not everybody had it, and that didn't have as much as they wanted maybe, but they said that we wanted, even the man, they had plenty of what to eat. They weren't starving. They had the manna from heaven. They came down. But they wanted to add more meat. There weren't enough for them. And they complained. And if it would have been them themselves, that would be bad enough. But they started getting other people riled up also about it. Some of the Jews that were not converts, some of the Jews, originally Jews, that came out of Egypt, and they got them going too. From here we see how important it is to have good friends, people that are tzaddikim, righteous people, because if you're friendly with people that are not righteous, people, complainers, people that are not happy with whatever life, whatever they have, and they rile up other people to feel the same way, that people are influenced by their friends, like we've spoken so many times, that God made the nature of a person to be influenced by friends, by people around him. The main purpose to have friends that are righteous, that are tzaddikim. But it works well both ways. So here they were complaining that the food was not up to their standard, what they wanted, and therefore there's the complaining, why are we stuck with this food one every day for all the years that they were there? And therefore they started asking, we want more. And they said, remember what we used to eat in Mitzrayim, the fish that we had in Mitzrayim that we got for nothing. The fish they got for nothing, like Rashi said, fish for nothing. Egyptians wouldn't even give them the straw. They took away the straw from them to make the bricks. They had to go and get the straw themselves and make bricks and build build buildings. And they're talking about they got free fish in Mitzrayim that they gave them. So Rashi says they got fish free does not mean free from the Egyptians. It means it was free from mitzvahs, that a fish does not have anything inside of it which is forbidden to eat. Animals, others, there's a lot of things inside the animal which you're not allowed to eat. You can't eat the blood, you can't eat some of the fats of the animal, other parts get anosha, other different veins, you can't eat an animal. But fish, there's no such thing. As long as it has fins and scales on the outside, the inside of a fish totally permitted to eat, no, without any problem. So what they were saying was, complaining that we had the fish in Mitzrayim, which was so easy for us to eat without any worries, without having to take out this and take out that. It was so easy for us to be able to live on the fish in Mitzrayim. They used to get fish from the river, Nile River, a lot of fish there that they were able to get a hold of. And therefore they started complaining about if even though we might have some animals to eat over here, but we have to make sure that a lot of it is not eaten by, we can't eat a lot of part of the animal. And the fish is so easy to eat, you just take it and eat it 1, 2, 3, without worrying about the things inside of it. The whole inside of a fish is permitted, inside, outside, except as long as the fins and scales, everything's permitted to eat. So here again we learn a lesson. People complain, talking about people eating kosher food. People come about kosher food. It's so different. It's expensive, and you can't get it every place. If you go on the trip and go away from the Jewish area, there's no food to eat. You can't buy the meat over there. You can't buy the food that's not kosher. And exactly what they're complaining about over there, which God wasn't happy with. We're put in this world to do the mitzvahs, to commandments of Hashem, even though they're not convenient. That's what we get a reward for. So stick to what's right, stick to the laws of the Torah, even though sometimes they're not so easy to follow. Sometimes we may go hungry for a while, but nobody's going to starve. And we have to make sure to eat kosher, even though maybe it was not so easy. The store is far away, we can't get all the time what we want, and so on and so forth. So again, here they were complaining, and then they said, remember all the good food we had there, all the vegetables we had. They make a list of items. We had cucumbers, melons, leek, onions, and garlic. It seems that they grew plentiful in Egypt. And remember all these good vegetables that we had, and we don't have them here in the desert. Imagine that. So the question of why, how come Hashem didn't make those vegetables for them in the desert, those 5 vegetables? So rabbis tell us those vegetables are not good for nursing mothers. It's too strong. That makes the milk inviting, unpleasant for a baby to drink. And therefore Hashem didn't give them these strong vegetables that have a tart, whatever you want to call them. The onions we know, and garlic, these are strong kind of taste to it, and it's not enjoyable and acceptable to a baby to drink. It'll give them a lot of gas pains, whatever it is. But that's the reason Hashem did not give them those vegetables, for the mothers not to eat those type of things, to be bad for the babies. And they didn't think about it. It was Hashem's chesed. He gave them what's good for them, good for everybody. And the big problem over here is because we know that the mon that they ate would taste the way they wanted to taste. Whatever taste the person wanted, they would eat the mon that came from the Shemayim. That we said before, every day this mon came down from the Shemayim, and they ate it. And if they wanted to taste whatever they wanted to taste, it tasted like that thing that they wanted. So what are they complaining over here? We talk about meat, about fish, about vegetables, whatever you wanted to taste like, was able to taste like it. So why are we complaining? Ella, because they wanted to have the real thing, to enjoy it. Just if you take a piece of bread and you want to taste like pizza, we'll take a piece. You want to taste like split peas, whatever you want to taste it like. But it's a piece of bread. You want to have something different. You want to have something that could enjoy. It's a piece of meat. It's a meat. If it's an orange, it's an orange. And just to taste like it, the same piece of madra that you're eating, it tastes like you want it. It's nice, good for the taste, but a person wants to be able to enjoy looking at it, feeling it, chewing it, tasting it, everything. And therefore they're complaining that the man is not good enough. They want something that we're able to put our teeth into and see it and enjoy it the way it looks. An orange looks nice, the apple looks nice, a piece of meat looks good. So a person wants to enjoy the whole exact detail of the thing that they're eating. And this was not acceptable to Hashem, to God, that He's giving them all these things that they need, all the food that they need, everything they want to taste, and you complain about it. It's not good enough. You have to have this, and you have to have that, and they have to have it. Actuality, actual has to be, it can't be the man itself. And therefore, God was not very happy with the Jewish people. People like Gashmias, Bishlemus. People like to be total, enjoying the physical, mundane items of this world. And they do a lot to obtain it. They spend a lot of money for it, and they put a lot of time into it, because they want to get the full extent of the pleasures of this world, of this animalistic world that we live in, that the body is animalistic, the body should get the full amount of physical enjoyment possible. I always have the story that once in a store, sitting there, and somebody came in. It was at the counter there, people were ordering all kinds of drinks and things, and ice cream and so on. This man came in and said he wants the utmost of enjoyment of an ice cream that's possible. So therefore he wants triple dips, and he wants to put nuts on top, and with syrup, and what else can you think of? And the cherry on top that he wants to, he ordered. So, okay, they said, yes, sir. So then the man gave it to him, and in front of the whole store, he said, hey, there's no cherry on top. He had everything over the ice cream with the nuts, with the chocolate, with syrup, with everything. There was no cherry on top. He gave out, he was so upset that he said out loud. Everybody heard him, but like it was a good laugh. But you have to have 100%. If anything, one little thing is missing in his animalistic desires, so then he's not happy. And forget about the ice cream, the nuts, and the chocolate. He has to have 100%. That's what we're talking about over here. That Hashem was not happy with the demands that they had, the complaints that they had. They had so much, He gave them a miracle, gave them the manna every day. From Shemayim, from heaven came down the food for them. And tasted what they wanted to taste it like, everything, but it didn't have everything they wanted. So therefore they complained. And that was very, very upsetting to Hashem. And this is something that we have to learn to. I was telling us this what happened, basically, he wants us to learn from it. At the same time, they also were upset about something else, that they got the mitzvah of marriages which are forbidden. And they felt that they cannot marry any woman they want, any man and woman they want to marry if they're relatives. Relatives are forbidden to marry. And they were upset about that too. They wanted to be able to marry who they want to marry. They were crying that why can't we marry any person we want to marry? We feel good like that, it'll make us happy. And God forbid them to marry certain people, women and men together. That was also very upset about at the same time. Both of them are desires of enjoyment of a physical body, of marriages, food, and both together they were very upset about. So, and they got punished. God made a miracle that the very fat tasting bird came to them all over the place, and they were able to collect all the birds and take it home and eat it. And as they were eating it, they got punished. The people died from it. It was like poison. It was a punishment to them. God was saying, I give you such good things, everything to keep you going and make miracles for you. And you have plenty to eat. What are you complaining about? It has to be 100% exactly the way the body, the animalistic body wants to have, with all the side dishes and everything they want. You should be happy with and not only that, it was a spiritual thing too, this man. They grew spiritually from the man too, not only from the man that they were able to satisfy the physical needs, but also elevated them into a higher spiritual plateau than they were from before. And therefore God was very upset with the demands and the complaints about what they're missing. So we'll have to learn from this, that we should be appreciative of what God gives us to live on. We shouldn't be into animalistic desires of food that think that it has to be exactly the way our body would like it to be. We have to be more higher beings, more our horizon should be set on a higher type of lifestyle, not the way there's so much in the world around us, so much is put into food, to all the advertisements, everything for our body to enjoy, to bring up our bodies in the highest degree of enjoyment. Of course, we have to be, we're human beings, we have to have food, and we want to taste good and be happy, but to go into more and more of this type of enjoyment that it's not necessary for a person, what happens? We become animalistic. We become so unholy and so down to earth and so anti what God wants us to be. He wants to be a holy nation. Just how we took the Torah now, Mount Sinai. You'll be a holy nation to me, Hashem. What does it mean, holy? That you won't be into this world so much. People want all the best of food. What do? They have to make a lot of money to buy it. It's costly. A person will be happy with the simple food more. He wouldn't have to make so much money to be able to serve Hashem, not to have to put so much time into. We're not just food. We're talking about all types of worldly things, all types of mundane desires that people have, whether it's clothing, whether it's cars, whether it's whatever it might be. This is just an example. We're talking about food, but all things that people want that are not for a good purpose, just to appease our bodies. That's not what Hashem put us in this world for. I'll quote the words of the Rambam. I think I've quoted once before. The Rambam talks about a person who has two types of food in front of him. One is a food that's healthy, but doesn't taste so good, and one food that tastes good but it's not healthy. One's healthy and doesn't taste good. The two types of food in front of him, and he has to eat one of them. Can't eat both. So he doesn't have the room in the stomach for both. One of them, he has a choice. So the Rambam says, if a person goes and eats the food that tastes good but it's not healthy, then hu v'behema etzli shavin. He and the animal to me are the same thing. Rambam says, to me, he's like an animal. He's no different than an animal. What does the Rambam mean by that? Because he's acting like an animal. An animal eats what tastes good. He has no seichel, has no brains to understand what's healthy, what's not healthy. Even some of them have an instinct like that. But most animals, whatever is good, tastes good to them, that's what they eat. They have no seichel, they have no brain power to decide that it's better for me to eat what's healthy rather than what tastes good. A person who doesn't use the brain, is using his body to decide, his animals the body to decide what he should eat. And it's something that tastes good, it's not healthy. So the Rambam is very clear in what he's saying. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. He is like an animal to his Rambam says. Because why? The difference between an animal and a man is because the person has a seichel. The person has an intellect, has a brain to think straight and logically. The person who eats what's healthy and doesn't taste so good, he's using his brains. The person who eats what tastes good, it's not healthy, he's not using his brains. He's using his animalistic desires are governing his decisions, what he should do. So he's not using his seichel, he's not using his brain power, he's not using his intellectual power. So the Rambam is very careful in what he's saying. It makes a lot of sense. He is like an animal. He's not using his brains. And this is what Hashem didn't put us in the world for, to act like animals. This is what we learned from these lessons we picked up from these few psukim. So a lot more. Everybody, if you have a chumash at home, take a look and learn it and see the whole parsha. I chose certain parts of it, but the lessons that we learned from it, from the beginning, we have to have good friends to have good influence on us. Not like they had the Erev, the ones who influenced them to complain. And we should be happy with what Hashem gives us, and not to look for more delicious things. Of course, want to eat food that tastes good. But let's not get not obsessed with it. Let's kind of go into it with determination that we have to get the best type of food. No matter people spend so much money on food, which is so not necessary. Besides the fact it's not healthy. People that are not supposed to eat certain foods and they don't control themselves, all kinds of sickness they can get to, and. We have to realize people, they were crying because they couldn't marry the people they wanted to marry. They wanted to enjoy themselves, enjoy the pleasure of marriage, of man and woman together, and now they're deprived of that because they could not marry their relatives that the Torah forbid us to do. Halabayish would cry over things that are something to cry over. We should cry over the fact that Hashem destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, the holy temple. That's something to cry over. And cry over the people that are hostages or taken and can't get away. I'll cry over all the people being killed, the soldiers being killed in Eretz Yisrael, and now in Eretz Yisrael and Israel. That's something to cry over. But to cry over the fact that we can't get the pleasure that we'd like to have, that's not nothing for us to cry over. That's not what Hashem wants us to do. He wants us to use our time to make a lot of money, to buy more pleasures and more fancier things and so on. Waste our life for things that are not important. That's what we learn from this parsha. We have to know what life's all about and steer our lives in the direction Hashem wants to steer it, to look for higher plateaus of holiness, of spirituality, and that's what Hashem will love us for.